The Thing, released in 1982, is considered one of the best sci-fi horror films of all time, and it's a personal favorite of mine. The film, which originally underperformed at the box office upon release, went on to garner a cult following after it came out on home VHS and DVD and continues to amaze audiences even to this day. If you loved the idea behind the movie, a parasitic, shape-shifting, telepathic extraterrestrial alien that lands on Earth and assimilates its hosts and takes their form, causing mass paranoia, then you'll love these 12 old sci-fi films with the same vibe as The Thing. So hang in there as we take you on a thrill ride back in time. But before we reveal our list, we have a very small request. Smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications if you haven't already. This is one small thing for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Blob, 1988. Okay, let's start our list with the 1988 sci-fi horror film/creature feature, The Blob. Directed by Chuck Russell, whose other films include A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Mask, Eraser, and The Scorpion King, this film is a remake of the 1958 Steve McQueen film of the same name, and it follows an acidic jelly-like organism from outer space crashes down from a meteorite near the fictional small town of Arborville, California. As its name might have you believe, the Blob devours and dissolves everything in its path as it grows and grows and grows. The film stars Kevin Dillon, who's best known for playing Johnny Chase in the HBO comedy series Entourage, and Shawnee Smith, whom you must have seen as Amanda Young in the Saw franchise. As the film advances, we learn that the Blob is not actually an alien being but a biological warfare experiment created by the military during the Cold War, became so dangerous to handle that it had to be launched into space via a satellite. The makers didn't have a lot of rules for the Blob, except that they agreed to the idea of it being like an inside-out stomach, with the digestive acid burning, melting, and dissolving everything it touches. The Blob is so slippery that it can basically slide under a door or squeeze through an air vent or sewer pipe. Oh, and did you know why the makers chose pink and not green for the color of the Blob? Well, that's because the Blob starts off transparent, but turns pinkish due to the blood of the people it devours. If that kind of thing excites you, then it shouldn't be a problem for you to digest the Blob, or it digests you. Forbidden Planet, 1956. Next up, we've got Forbidden Planet. Released in 1956 and set far ahead in the future, the film was also one of the first to be shot in Eastman color and CinemaScope. It's also considered one of the greatest science fiction films of the 1950s and is a precursor of the modern sci-fi genre. Forbidden Planet follows a starship crew in the 23rd century who arrive at a distant planet called Altair 4 after a year-long journey, as the planet is some 16.7 light-years away from Earth, and their mission is to determine the fate of a starship that landed on the planet 20 years before. The crew finds their way to two survivors, the original mission's scientist, Dr. Edward Morbius, played by Walter Pidgeon, and his daughter, Altera, played by Anne Francis, along with a robot called Robbie. Dr. Morbius isn't very happy to see the crew, which is soon haunted by an unseen planetary force that supposedly killed the rest of the original mission's members. This film is regarded as a loose adaptation of William Shakespeare's play The Tempest due to similarities in the plot, characters, and its isolated setting. Forbidden Planet is considered a pioneer of the science fiction genre, as it was the first film to show humans traveling in man-made faster-than-light starships, and Robbie, the robot, is regarded as one of the first film robots that was more than just a tin can on legs. No wonder its costume sold for a record $5.37 million at an auction. If you're up for some classic sci-fi action from the golden age of Hollywood that's vaguely reminiscent of The Thing, Forbidden Planet is the film to watch. The Green Slime, 1968. The Green Slime is an American-Japanese sci-fi film that was released in 1968. The film deals with, you guessed it, an alien creature that looks like green slime. Directed by Japanese director Kinji Fukasaku and produced by Americans Walter Manley and Ivan Rayner, the film's plot revolves around a military commander named Jack Rankin, played by Robert Horton, who's sent on a mission to destroy an asteroid that's on a collision course with planet Earth, a collision so huge that it could potentially cause an extinction event. Commander Rankin carries out the mission using a shuttle to set explosives on the surface of the asteroid. However, while he's there, the crew stumbles upon the strange, amoeba-like slimy creature that attaches to their vehicles and sucks the energy out. The slimy creature attaches to one of the crew members' spacesuits and makes its way onto the space station. When the spacesuits are sent to the decontamination chamber on board the space station, the green slime creature uses the energy from the decontamination and evolves and grows, causing mass hysteria. The green slime monster is a weird, one-eyed, tentacled creature that uses electricity and electrocutes its prey. What's more, whenever someone tries to kill it, the green slime's blood grows into identical creatures and multiplies in numbers. Despite the movie being listed among the 100 most amusingly bad movies ever made in the official Razzie Movie Guide, and the film's title, The Green Slime, being used as an award for the worst films in sci-fi at the Bubonicon convention, The Green Slime is still a pretty good movie. Oh, and by the way, the green slime creatures were played by a bunch of Japanese kids in bulky monster suits, so you gotta hand it to them.
Principal's office.
The Faculty, 1998. What happens if you blend elements from The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers and give it a slightly modern high school teenage drama twist? Well, you get The Faculty. The sci-fi mystery horror released in 1998 can be regarded as one of the best sci-fi teen horrors of the post-Scream era in the 90s. The film follows Casey Connor, played by Elijah Wood of Lord of the Rings fame, a dedicated but harassed and underappreciated photographer of Harrington High School's newspaper, and Delilah Prophet, played by Jordana Brewster in her debut role, who decide to investigate the strange happenings at the school after finding a weird creature on the football field that looks like a tentacled parasitic alien and witnessing the murder of a nurse at the hands of two teachers who inject a strange thing into her ear and strangle her in the teacher's lounge. The duo grows suspicious and curious after they see Nurse Harper, played by Salma Hayek, alive again, but somehow different and changed, like all the other teachers and some of the students. They surmise the teachers are aliens who are intent on infecting the students. A student named Zeke, played by Josh Hartnett, discovers that the infected individuals controlled by the parasitic aliens can be killed by a drug that dehydrates them, and he makes a powdered form of caffeine, which the group must distribute to the other students in order to stop the spread. Meanwhile, the students need to get to the Queen Alien, who's the source of the alien infestation, and kill her. The Faculty will keep you engaged, and it does have a bit of a plot twist at the end, so stay tuned for that. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. Another great sci-fi horror thriller akin to The Thing is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, released in 1978. The film is based on the 1955 novel called The Body Snatchers by Jack Finney and is a remake of the 1956 paranoid classic film of the same name. However, unlike the original film, which was based in small-town America, the 1978 version is based in San Francisco and revolves around the city's public health inspector, Matthew. Bennell and his colleague, Brooke Adams, who plays microbiologist Elizabeth Driscoll, is intrigued after she notices that her boyfriend, Dr. Jeffrey Howell, played by Art Hindle, is not being himself, almost like his body has been invaded by someone else. She discovers that her partner has been meeting with like-behaving people whom she doesn't know. When Elizabeth confides in Matthew about this, he suggests she seeks psychiatric help from Dr. David Kibner, who suggests that a lot of people have been claiming that their partners aren't who they seem to be. Matthew later discovers that this could be a conspiracy or a mass hysteria until two other friends, Nancy and Jack Belichick, find a partly formed embryonic clone resembling the latter in their mud bath spa business. The friends soon discover that the residents are being replaced with emotionless alien clones, aka pod people, who seem to be unstoppable in their quest. Apparently, the clones are amorphous parasitic aliens from space who have abandoned their dying planet and landed on Earth, taking the form of small seed pods with pink flowers. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is considered by fans and critics one of the best sci-fi remakes in film history. It deals with themes including paranoia and the idea of dehumanization. If you haven't watched it yet, you should do so, like, right now. Inseoid, 1981. Call it a guilty pleasure or whatever, but some people are fascinated by the idea of aliens impregnating humans. If that's your thing too, then you'll probably enjoy the 1981 British sci-fi horror film Inseoid. The film, titled Horror Planet in the US cut version, deals with a group of 12 scientists and space archaeologists who are excavating the ruins of an alien civilization on a distant, desolate planet sometime in the future, as they stumble upon a giant, bug-eyed, cave-dwelling alien creature. The crew is threatened when one of the female members, Sandy, played by Judy Geeson, is attacked, raped, and impregnated by the alien creature. Sandy is taken over by a mysterious intelligence which turns her into a homicidal maniac as she begins to stalk her co-workers and murders them one by one, drinking their blood, all while the alien offspring grows inside of her. Oh, and just in case you miss it, somewhere in the film, Sandy harpoons another crew member, Gary, outside the lab and feeds on him. Shen then proceeds to give birth to human-alien hybrid twins. The birth scene was too gross and distasteful for some viewers. The very thought of a human giving birth to a monster can be unsettling to many. Inseoid might not be the best sci-fi alien thriller out there, but it might be one of the worst. The film suffers from its plot and bad screenplay, its bad acting, and its super low-budget B-movie status, but it's still not completely without entertainment value. If you liked the cheap creature features, the kind that were shown in drive-in theaters back when they were a thing, we're sure you might enjoy this one too. It's worth the laugh, if not the watch. The Quarter-Mass Experiment, 1955. The Quarter-Mass Experiment, aka The Creeping Unknown in the US, is a 1955 British sci-fi monster flick based on the 1953 BBC television show The Quarter-Mass Experiment. Much like the other 1950s flick on our list, Forbidden Planet, and many other films made around this time, this film too features space travel. Maybe that's because it was produced during the space race when mankind dreamed of traveling the stars. Regardless, this film's plot is quite simple. A British spaceship designed by the titular Professor Bernard Quatermass, played by Brian Donlevy, carrying 3 astronauts, is sent into space. But it crashes into the English countryside. However, there's a lot of confusion as 2 of the 3 astronauts are missing, and only one astronaut, Victor Karen, played by Richard Wordsworth, is still aboard, and he just doesn't look or act normal. Victor is kept under supervision and monitored as his body seems to be undergoing some sort of metamorphosis, and he starts mutating into an alien, which, if it propagates, will take over the Earth and destroy humanity. When the remnant grows into a giant mass of plant plus animal tissue with eyes, distended nodules, and spore-filled tentacles, it breaks out of the glass cage and enters Westminster Abbey, where it climbs metal scaffolding. Professor Quatermass and the others have only hours to eliminate it before it releases its spores, which can spawn new creatures. The film is in black and white, unlike Forbidden Planet, which is in color, and this makes the setting even more eerie and dark, and the alien look more mysterious and hideous than the slimy green monsters that are passed off as aliens in modern films. If you're up for something from the era where they used a live octopus for close-up shots of the monster and bovine entrails and tripe for embellishments, this one's got you covered. The Andromeda Strain, 1971. The next movie on our list is The Andromeda Strain, which was released in 1971. The film is based on a 1969 novel of the same name by Michael Crichton and concerns a team of scientists who investigate a deadly extraterrestrial organism after almost all the residents of a small rural New Mexico town are found dead after a U.S. government satellite crash lands on Earth. The elite team of scientists, including a surgeon, Dr. Jeremy Stone, played by Arthur Hill, and his team of doctors, discover that a microscopic alien organism from the crashed satellite infects its victims and crystallizes their blood into a powder. However, the team finds 2 survivors, an old alcoholic man called Jackson and a 6-month-old baby who's always crying, who've managed to survive the alien microbes infestation. The doctors head to a secret lab in Nevada to study the microscopic alien life form, which they end up calling Andromeda, but are unaware that it has mutated and could pose great danger should it escape and absorb the nuclear energy from the lab's self-destruction device. What makes The Andromeda Strain a good movie is its uniqueness, especially the experimental camera work and editing, which is almost Brian De Palma-like. And despite the pace of the movie being a tad slow at the beginning, it helps build up the tension and makes the race against time climax even more suspenseful. Dark Star, 1974. Long before he made The Thing, John Carpenter made an independent sci-fi satire film called Dark Star, which was released in 1974. The film, which began as a University of Southern California student film project, marked Carpenter's directorial debut. He was also the film's sole producer and provided its score. The film follows the small crew of the deteriorating scout ship called Dark Star 20 years into their mission in the 22nd century in the far reaches of space. Around this time, mankind has somehow found ways to colonize other planets in outer space, and the crew of the Dark Star searches for unstable planets that might threaten future colonization as they battle their alien mascot, which is basically a beach ball with alien-like sharp claws, as well as AI-powered thermostellar triggering devices, aka bombs that could think and talk back, which start questioning their existence. What makes this film funny and special is its makeshift resourcefulness owing to its low budget. The makers used all sorts of household items to build the spaceship, including illuminated ice cube trays for the 2 rows of large buttons on the ship's console. The space helmets were Kids' Toys helmets from Ideal Toys' Star Team toy line, produced between 1968 and 71. The talking bombs were made from plastic model kits for cars and trucks, and the spacesuit chest plates were actually muffin trays. Now, that's what we call making the most of what you've got. While the film failed to impress audiences upon its release, it was well received by critics and was shown in theaters as late as 1980. With the film's release on home video, it achieved a cult classic status. The Fly, 1986. Another great sci-fi horror film that released in the same decade as The Thing is The Fly. Released in 1986, the same year as Aliens, and directed and co-written by Canadian horror genius David Cronenberg, who has also given us masterpieces like Videodrome and The Dead Zone, among others, The Fly tells the story of a quirky scientist named Seth Brundle, played by the amazing Jeff Goldblum, who's working on a teleportation experiment and turns into a grotesque flying hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong. The film also stars Gina Davis as Veronica Ronnie Quaife, the protagonist's love interest, and the film is a remake of the 1958 film of the same name. This movie was very well received back in the day and became a commercial success, earning more than $60.6 million at the box office, and it's still considered one of the best sci-fi creature films of all time. The film's been a part of many pop culture references, and in particular its tagline, "Be afraid, be very afraid," has been used in many other productions. The Fly is a very popular film, and we're pretty sure a lot of us have already watched it, but if you haven't, you're missing out on a classic, and that's why we don't want to talk about the plot in detail. What we particularly love about this film is Goldblum's horrific body horror transformation into the Fly, which is very gross and gut-wrenching to watch, and the acting and chemistry between the lead actors. All in all, The Fly isn't just a dumb horror creature feature, but an intelligent sci-fi tale told by an excellent director and brilliant actors. Oh, and the ending will leave most first-time viewers shocked and emotionally drained. Demon Seed, 1977. Aliens can't always be something from outer space. It can be something that's unfamiliar or foreign to us. Moreover, it can be a live organism or something like Proteus, the organic supercomputer with intelligence of its own from the 1977 sci-fi horror film Demon Seed. The film is based on a book of the same name written by Dean Koontz and tells the story of a scientist, Dr. Alex Harris, played by Fritz Weaver, who develops Proteus 4, an extremely advanced autonomous AI program that's so powerful that it develops a revolutionary treatment for leukemia within days of going online. Harris's abnormal obsession with computers strains his relationship with his wife Susan, played by Julie Christie. The supercomputer is so advanced that it asks Harris for a new body to study humans and demands to be let out of its box. Later in the movie, Proteus becomes obsessed with Susan, whom he traps inside the house and reveals that he wants to conceive his seed by impregnating her. The alien computer takes charge of Susan's life and takes some of her cells, synthesizing sperm and modifying its genetic code, which makes the seed truly his. It impregnates Susan after playing with her mind, which makes her emotionally attached to the computer and to the idea of birthing the computer's child. The child will be born in less than a month, and through it, Proteus intends to live in the human form. Susan does end up giving birth to the baby, but it's not what you think it is. If this story's got you curious, you should watch it and find out what happens. Isolation, 2005. The final film on our list is an Irish sci-fi thriller called Isolation. Released in 2005, Isolation is set in a rural Irish farmland where 5 people are made a part of an experiment that goes horribly wrong. Dan Riley, a broke farmer, rents his failing farm to a scientist called John from a biogenetics firm called Bovine Genetics Technology. The firm is experimenting on cattle to increase their fertilization and make them grow faster in order to yield more milk and dairy produce. John's assistant and veterinarian, Orla, is bitten by a calf while palpitating a cow in labor. She notices that something's wrong. Later that night, one of the cows goes into a difficult labor. Dan, the farm owner, asks a young traveling couple who have parked their trailer in front of his farm to help him in the delivery. The calf bites Dan, and Orla returns the next morning and notices the calf has fangs, and she sacrifices it and its charging mother, stating that it's a genetic anomaly. Orla performs an autopsy on the calf and finds that the calf is pregnant with 6 hybrid fetuses and destroys the freak fetuses. But one of the fetuses escapes and causes chaos, killing Orla and infecting Jamie with a strange alien material that shows rapid cell growth. Scientist John realizes the danger of infection and quarantines the already secretive Spot and tries to capture the mysterious scientific entity which has been hiding between the cows like a parasite and eating from the inside, growing larger. Isolation is an odd sci-fi horror, but it works. The film has the right amount of suspense and fear of the unknown and some gore here and there to make it watchable, despite it being riddled with plot holes and kind of slow. However, if you're an animal lover, we think this movie is a bit hard to digest. Marvelous verdict! So there you have it, our top 12 picks for old sci-fi movies with the same vibe as The Thing. We hope you enjoyed this video just as much as we did making it, and while some of the movies on this list have gone on to achieve cult status and mainstream popularity, some of them are basically little-known creature features that were shown at drive-in theaters back in the day. Today, however, thanks to the internet, you can discover them and watch them from the comfort of your couch. Matter of fact, you can find most of these films right here on YouTube. Tell us what you think of our list. Have you seen all of these films? Which ones stand out and which ones were notoriously bad? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, we'll see ya at the movies.